Greetings and welcome to another
episode.
of the Reconnect podcast and TV show. Today we have the distinguished guest, Ntate Tlali Mpholo. Greetings and welcome to the podcast.
Greetings, Ntate, and greetings to your viewers as well.
Can we please start? You should start by telling us about your educational background, like from where you began, from primary up until you completed your studies at varsity.
Okay, like you said, Ntate, I'm Tlali Mpholo. I'm born and bred in Lesotho. I grew up in TY. That's where I did my primary and high school education. However, when I finished my high school studies, I'm from a family of two boys. We were primarily raised by a single parent because our father passed on when we were very young, so we don't even know him. But now, after completing my COSC, then my mom passed on, so which meant now I had to forget going to varsity full time because my younger brother was still at school, and I had to see to it that now how can I help him to finish his high school and obviously even tertiary. So then after my completion, then that's when I had to start looking for work.
And what way was it when you completed?
I completed my COSC in 1998. Yeah, I don't know where you were then, but yeah, so that's when I completed then. Then I had to look for a job, but I didn't stop studying, of course, because my ambition has always been to further my studies. So that's when I did my diploma and leading to my bachelor's degree in business and entrepreneurship with the National University of Lesotho. Then from there, I went ahead to do my master's degree in business and entrepreneurship with Amity University in India. But in between, I had several professional development programs that I was doing as well, in terms of professional directorship programs, strategic development, and also in the financial industry space, because that's where my profession is up to where I am now. So currently, I've just completed my advanced diploma in estate and trust administration with the University of Free State, because that's where now my expertise are in managing and planning people's wealth and their estates, on how to structure them for their dependents and their families.
So, moving on to your career, when did you start working, and what was the first job that you did until currently? What are you doing currently?
Sure, I have a very lengthy career. I've been around lots of places. Like I said, I first started working in the insurance industry, where I was helping clients as a client service consultant. But I grew within the system in different managerial positions within the company. So I started in the client service space, but I ended up being in the learning and development space, where I was doing trainings for employees in the insurance industry. Then I went to the banking industry as well. So I think around 2005, 6 or 7, I went to work one of the big banks here in Lesotho, still in the learning and development space. I think I actually worked for two banks, two commercial banks, because I left the other one when I was also the learning and development manager. Then from there, I left the banking industry. I went back to the insurance industry now, but this time I was now in the sales department. I've always liked sales as a person, because the administration part, it has a tendency of getting boring because you're doing the same thing all the time. So I'm one person that gets very bored, especially when I feel I'm in a space that doesn't allow me to be as creative as I would want. So that was key. Number two, I think my challenge was in the administration space. It doesn't matter how much effort you put in your work. If your salary is 2,000, that's your 2,000. So for me, I really felt, unfulfilled in that committed. I know I can do more, but it doesn't show on what gets into my account at the end of the day. So even when I left the banking industry to come back to the insurance, most of my close friends, even my former CEO in one of those banks, I couldn't believe the decision I made, because since they didn't want me to leave the bank, he asked me about the offer that they had made me, because now he wanted to see if he can counter offer and to keep me in that bank. And I said to him, no, Trevor, I'm actually getting zero, because I'm going to work purely on commission. So it didn't make sense for somebody who was already at a managerial position in a bank. Of course, in the banks, there will be a lot of benefits. You could get a car loan at bank rates or home loan, all those things. But I was really prepared to say, no, I'm leaving. I'm going to the sales department in the insurance industry. So I went back as a sales manager now, and where I was leading a team of, I think initially it was around 15 people or so. And it's one of the jobs I enjoyed very much, because more than the rewards, but it was more about helping and changing people's lives. When you go out there and you meet the community and you try and see how can you impart your skills and knowledge to help them improve their lives. I think it's one of the things that I really enjoyed being in the industry. Then I grew up, I think, to a regional manager position, which I also, I think, occupied for a number of years before I felt, I've been in banking, I've been in insurance, I needed something different. So that's when I left and I went into the microfinance industry now. That's where people will loan, people take loans from different employers and schemes and stuff like that. It was a nice industry, but I got to a point where you have what you call, when you are in a dilemma, because now an ethical dilemma, we know everybody wants money. Of course, I want money, my wife wants money, of course. But now, when you are in a role where you are set, your salary and your bonus will be determined by how many people you give loans that at the end of the day they are worse off. Now, much as I want money, it's a Mosotho, and being a Mosotho and offering a product that is not changing people's lives, but that is giving me more money, then I felt, oh no, I think this is not me, because I don't care how much money I'm making, but if I'm not sleeping at night because I know I have sold people something that is not going to change their lives, but it's going to make them worse off. That's what made me really sit down and reflect on my life and say, but what do I want of my life? Is this who I am? Because surely didn't feel like it was a fulfilling career to do in that way. So I think that's where now I sat down and said, okay, you know what? I've worked in the insurance industry, I've worked in the banking industry, I'm now in the microfinance industry. Why not come up with a concept that can bring all this expertise under one roof, so that as I help the nation, I use my expertise in insurance and banking and microfinance to say, look, even if you need an insurance product, let it be a product that has certain impact and influence in your life. Even if you take a loan, what are things that you need to look for? What are things that you need to be aware, so that you don't become a victim, that you don't become somebody who is over indebted. So that's where now we approached the Central Bank of Lesotho as the regulator to say, we would want to have a license that can help us to utilize all this expertise that we have to serve Basotho and better, and help them make better financial decisions. So that's where Absolute Investment Advisors as a business now came about. I approached a few of my fellow professionals we were in the industry with to say, good people, here is a vision. I would like us to sit down and make the hard decision, leave our good, well-paying jobs and go and start something new where we don't have salaries, but try and see if we can do things for the greater good of the nation and build Absolute Investment Advisors, where now we plan people's finances from the onset up until it gets to a point where now you plan their estate to say, what about your afterlife? Because the challenge that we realized was, when you deal with a bank account, they just focus on the products as a bank account. What is it that I can give you? An insurance person, it's all about selling whatever product they do. And even, a micro lender, it's all about how much can I give you. But all of these things, they come from one person's salary. They come from one person's bank account. So you find that there's a lot of duplication because people don't understand these products, because they were just, sold and told only the positive side. Nobody was sharing the negative side. And it was a huge risk for us as well, because now here you leave your industry where you are paid well. You're going to start something new that has never been done in Lesotho. And we know people will always be skeptical, especially when you don't bring the good news that I'm going to make them promises that I'll turn your life overnight. Well, we don't operate like that. I'm going to tell you the sad news that what you have done, it's a huge mistake. Now, the important thing is, how do we help each other to see to it that, we can change your life for future generations. So, that's why now I ended up becoming the founder and the CEO of Absolute Investment Advisors, which is currently the position that I'm holding.
What year was it when you founded Absolute Investment Advisors?
It was 2023, around mid-2023. That's when I left the corporate world and we started Absolute Investment Advisors. Maybe one thing that I need to also mention is that within Absolute, there are actually 4 companies running as one big holding company, in that we have Absolute Investment Advisors that focuses on the advisory side of things, where now we do financial counseling services for people. We do way of guiding them on what to do. But we also have Absolute Learning and Consultancy. Remember, I said at some point in my career I was a learning and development manager, so I've always been doing trainings and stuff like that. So the learning and consultancy company is focused mainly about educating people. That's where we have radio shows that we do with the learning and consultancy. That's where we do road shows throughout the country, and even employers as well. They invite us to go and educate their people, because the different thing about Absolute Learning and Consultancy is that we don't offer financial literacy. We offer financial product education, which is different from what everybody is doing, in that where we educate people about loans, we get deep into people to appreciate what is a loan, how is it built, how is it priced, what are things that you need to check before you get into a loan. When you talk about an insurance product, we really started from scratch. We make a person to appreciate what are the things to look for before you commit to any kind of a financial product that you have. So that's what the things that we do. We run seminars, for instance, like estate planning seminars, because now we have the new Administration of Estates and Inheritance Act in Lesotho now from 2024. That has changed the way that Basotho have been operating all along in as far as estates are concerned. So that's the second arm of the holding companies, the learning and consultancy. But we also have what you call Absolute Risk Solutions. Now, having been in this industries, I was fortunate enough to have served on the product development committees of those banks. So when I was at the bank, I was on the product development and pricing committee. So I have better appreciation in terms of how is a bank product structured, how is an insurance product structured, how is a micro lender product structured. So the Absolute Risk Solutions is the arm that focuses on developing products that are addressing the gaps that we have observed in the market, to say for people that are already being served by Absolute Investment Advisors, these are the products that we can help them with. So you would find that in our products there will be an element of legal services, there will be an element of insurance component, there will be an element of advisory services. So they are branded in all of that to make sure that we give customized products for the people that we are serving as Absolute Risk Solutions. So the last company that we have now is what you call Absolute Trustee Fund. Now, remember we said we plan people's estates in terms of how do you plan your wealth so that your kids can be able to be taken care of even when you are there. So now this is where we are doing family trust, this is where we are doing wills of testament for people's estates and in any way that a person wants. So the trustee fund, its objective is to assist in building those family trust for these people, and even serving as board of trustees as well, because that's another expertise that we have in our company, to say maybe tomorrow you are saying, no, I would want to have a family trust for my family, but I would want to have an independent professional in there to help them to make sure that my wealth still stay the same. Exactly. So we are saying, how do you make sure that what you have worked hard for to date benefits generations to come? So the trustee fund company is focused in that area to ensure that we don't only advise you while you are still alive, but we are saying, how do we make sure that this advice even goes to your beneficiaries when you are no longer there? So that is the long and short of where I am in my career, and that's why you would find mostly even in my title it will be said group founder and CEO. It's because of there's many companies now that are within the Absolute umbrella, but the main name will always be Absolute Investment Advisors.
Where is the company located, and how can people contact you, either through email or if you have WhatsApp number for Absolute, whereby people who are interested in learning more can reach out?
Okay, our offices right now accommodate at Kingsway Mall. That is just next to the main traffic cycle when you get into the Kingsway Mall second floor. That's where our offices are, but we already have our representative guys throughout the country now. We have people in Gacha, in Botabote, in Mahalizuk and Kuting. So those are just a way of trying to expand our services throughout the country. But for contacting our offices, the numbers that people can call are 22313924, 22313924, or the WhatsApp number that they can call or drop in WhatsApp at 62627177, 62627177. So on email it's info@absolute.co.ls. We still have our website address, which is www.absolute.co.ls. So that is where they can get us, info@absolute.co.ls. And maybe I must also make a humble request that when people call our offices, they shouldn't ask for me, because they always want to ask to see me, but I'm the last person they're going to see. There are processes that need to be followed for them to arrange, because the fact that we deal with sensitive people's information, that's why arrangements has to be done prior for the person coming to our offices, so that they can get access to either me or any of my colleagues, depending on the request that they could be having at that time. But that is where they can get us, on 62627177. But we also have our Absolute Investment Advisors Facebook page, which we also even be on live on when we do our radio shows every Wednesday, from 7:20 in the morning. Then if they can follow that page, we also share a lot of information because, like I said, our vision in the company for the first 5 years, it's more information and education more than anything, just to try and highlight those issues that people weren't aware of that have importance, and especially in managing finances. A lot of people are over indebted. People make mistakes in managing their finances. People are failing to plan their retirements well and their estates well. So these are some of the things that we specialize in as part of our expertise at Absolute Investment Advisors.
Well, you're doing lots of great and wonderful work. So where do you see Absolute maybe in the next 5 or 10 years, or
Well, I think we have started, like I said, we have done lots of roadshows throughout the country, and we already have clientele throughout the whole country. So one of the first strategic approach that the business will be taking will be the expansion, of course, because we have now grown our distribution channels to, we have approximately a team of 20 people now, which has grown our team to close to 30 employees. So the focus is how do we ensure that we get to be where people are, because now we've got people in remote areas that still need our services but are not able to come to Maseru. So that's one important strategic direction that the business is focusing in the coming years or so. Secondly, what we are also working on is establishing arrangements with employers where now we can have continuous education in terms of helping their employees make proper financial decisions. We have already contracted a few parastatals, and we're busy working with some of the key stakeholders within the government as well, and that's where we are looking in terms of how do we make sure that people are educated from the minute they start working up until throughout the whole career till they go on retirement, and also post-retirement, how do we still make sure that this is, a senior citizen that is taken good care of and is using their money properly. So that is what we're looking at in terms of accessing that. But also the last one that we're looking at is improving our product offering as well. We always, every time, try and engage on assignments to say, what do we see to be the main gap that is existing in the market now? Where can we get partners that can help us to give us a solution that can address the gap that we are looking at? So we are in negotiation with some big partners across the board, and some from overseas, that we are trying to see what kind of product suite can we be able to bring that can address the need down on the market, but also still within the objectives of what Absolute Investment or Absolute as a group is focused on. Because like I say, we are fiduciary professionals, which says we always put the best interest of our clients at first beyond anything. We need to make sure that whatever product that we have, does it address the needs and requirements of Basotho? Is it customized to how Basotho are? Because you don't want to bring a solution that doesn't understand, or how does this talk to me? So those are the three key strategic objectives that we are currently working on now, to see how we can gradually grow the business. Like I'm saying, it's a brand that has to be for every Lesotho, in every corner of Lesotho, knowing that, because some of the things like planning your estate, the law is very clear. Every Lesotho has to do that, and we have to make sure that every Lesotho understand the responsibilities. Like we always say, rights always have responsibilities along with them. You don't just look at the rights. So that's what we are looking at. Maybe one thing that we also was exciting venture that we are doing is our relationship with the tertiary institutions. Last year we launched what we call young professional three-pot investments, which is an investment for tertiary students throughout the whole country. What we are trying to do with that product is just to inculcate a good culture of Basotho and even the youth to start investing at a young age, to know you always get all the stipends from NMDS to say this money, you don't just have to waste this money. I can save a bit of this money, invest it, and when I graduate, where I don't get employed, like you are in your project now, at least you know you've got money to buy equipment that you can start your own project, because you can see unemployment is just rampant and out of order. So that was an exciting project that we launched last year, and it looks to be getting good momentum, that we also think if we can be successful in ensuring that every tertiary student start learning and acquiring the discipline to invest, those people will be a different caliber when they start working, because now they would know main focus is to make money before you start having loans. So that's what we were trying to address when we launched that product. So I would say those are the current things that in the next 5 to 10 years, Absolute will have really grown and made sure that we achieve those and still maintain the uniqueness that we have as a business on what is it that we are doing and what gaps are we trying to address for Lesotho.
Wow. Well, looking at your story and journey, I believe you are driven by purpose, passion, and impact. So what inspires you to keep going? And I believe you also met some of the challenges along the way. Can you share some of them?
Yeah, I think what inspired me, first of all, to get into this project, there is one Japanese concept, they call it an ikigai concept, that says you need to look for something that you are passionate about, that people need, it's needed, that service that you are good at, and that can give you money. So, and in most instances, people always put money before everything, and it always causes chaos for them. But I think for me, I'm a very spiritual person. I always believe and pray that when you pray and ask for God to say, I need clarity in my career, I need clarity, I need something that can utilize the skill set that I have, but let it be something that I'm very passionate about. Maybe this emanated from the fact that I lost my parents at a very young age, and as I was running up and down the insurances claiming, I know the frustration that I went through and how much I struggled to get things even just to bury her, even post that. And I worked in the insurance and I realized the same thing, that a lot of kids were suffering, lots of people were suffering. So it has always been a challenge for me to say, what is it that I can do that I'm good at, or that I'm the best at what I'm doing, but let it be something that I'm really passionate about, and most importantly, can this help and change people's lives? And can people pay me for doing that? So it was what it really struck me to get to do this project that you're doing. And I think having passion is what led to me facing the challenges that we encountered as a team. Because now, remember, here you are, I'm starting a project of something that has never been done in Lesotho, and now everybody you go to, they're like, nah, I can hear what you're saying, but nah, I wonder if this thing gonna last. Is it not just some mushroom that's going to be gone in a few months' time? So, and I remember, now that you asked me, there was one quote I read in one of the American writers that said, start a business and you're going to see who are your true friends and family. Because once we started, excited as we were, I approached my fellow professionals where they are working to say, give me an opportunity to come and pitch to your teams, to your management teams and stuff like that. And those are the first people that closed doors on me. They never opened those doors for me completely. And we got our first breakthroughs from complete strangers that didn't know us. And it was challenging because now here you are, because the kind of a project that we started with Absolute, it's a capital intensive project. You need to have money to do it, and you need to take loans to start that project. And there were times when business was not there and we are not even able to pay our loans, and we had to negotiate, give us some some leeway, just give me a few weeks, we'll push. But the fact that we were doing what we are passionate about, the fact that there had been a few Basotho that we had already started engaging with that seems to be enjoying our services. Whenever we were about to give up, the issue has always been, are we really going to disappoint those people? Because there are a couple of people out there that are excited about what is Absolute is doing, and there are people who always give us feedback to say, you know what, thank you for helping me not do the mistakes I nearly did when I went on retirement. Some kids, they will come and tell you, we are so happy that our parents came to you, because even when they passed on, our estates, everything went smoothly. There were no issues. So it was those small appreciations that were a bit of some encouragement for us in the team. And when things got tough, even some of the people we had in our team, they left. And we were staying with a few, because we started, I think we were about 10, but about 6 or so left when it got tougher. And we really, we had those that said, you know what, come rain or shine, we are going to make this project work. At one point, our focus was just paying rent. We sure we're going to pay rent and make sure that the landlord does not evict us. And we would ask ourselves okay, who is renting? Who is staying in this house? Whoever is renting, now we calculate how much is your rent. Let's pay your landlord. The rest we'll see how we're going to survive. So, it always humbles me, because I've been blessed with a team of people that are so selfless when it comes to serving the nation, that when it came to having to tell their families, oh yes, I'm working but I don't have a salary, but every morning they are leaving their houses and they are going. That was another issue. That was the biggest challenge that we met. But the other one also was skepticism of the nation. Like I said, there's been a lot of quick money making schemes that has really taken people's monies, and whenever you come and you talk about money, it's like it's another scheme again. And how true is this one? And also other people, it was like, okay, places like Maseru, it's about who you know. It's not about what are you capable of. So as long as you are not known by certain people, then they don't feel you've got anything of value that you can add. So I think those were the key challenges that we met as a business. But like I'm saying, had we put money before everything, I don't think we would have succeeded in doing that. Because also, remember now, when you're starting that project, you don't have money, but you need to go and do road shows out in the district. There are days where you're going to have to run presentations. You don't even have breakfast, you don't even have lunch, and the candidates can't even see that you didn't have breakfast today, because you are doing what you love. You are passionate about this. You are saying, I'm here to help you, whether you don't sign today or you'll sign tomorrow. But what's going to give us pleasure is that I've done my best to help you. So yeah, I think those were the challenges that we got. And also on that, I think we were fortunate enough that the central bank, being the regulator, I think they were very open-minded when we approached them in terms of licensing us, because at times in Lesotho it can be challenging in that licensing requirements and regulations at times can be so complicated and so costly. But no, they really tried to say, I think they got the idea quicker than we thought it would, and then we were quickly given our license to do that. Yes, there were still some other requirements that stretched us a bit, which we had to find ways to say, how can we strive to do this? So yeah, those were the challenges that we really faced. And had we not had supportive families as well, because you can imagine, here I am, I'm living in an industry where I was earning very well, my family was well taken care of, and my other colleagues as well, and we are all resigning. Now I'm seated, I don't have anything to bring to the table, and now my wife has to see to everything that we are eating, kids go to school and all of that. It was really trying times, but I think, like I said, I had an amazing team that we really stuck together and said we're going to have to make this work. Giving up was never an option. We always told ourselves our mission was, we don't have plan B. This is our plan A, B, C, D, E. So we don't have any other. It is this. It has to work. So I think it was that level of commitment that has really led us to have a business. We are not there yet, but I think we have really made very good strides in the past 2 years that we are now moving into our third year now. Yeah.
Well, when I first heard of Absolute, it was, I think, last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I only met you Hanelile Mohalesuku for this conference I'm a teacher at Chache.
Okay.
Earlier this year I was working as a teacher at St. Stephen's High School, and Kelawana kopanong e no matitjhere a le thabetse haholo ka nnete. Ke dumela Basotho ba bangata hang ha ba tseba ka lona, like ba rata di-product tsa bona right away. Moving on to batho ba batlang to pioneer new industries jwale ka Absolutely, I think it jwale ka o tshware ke bona ba pele ba o tlisa di-product tsena. O ka reng ho motho a ntsa maybe o na le mosebetsi and o tshaba ho qala whatever passion o utlwang hore o na le yona, e mong he or she is unemployed and he or she is afraid to start something or a business or go into entrepreneurship, what can you say to them? Any words of advice?
Yeah, when I was doing my first degree, my entrepreneurship lecturer used to say, Lesotho is still a virgin. She used to say, this country has still been not been touched at all. And those are the words that really stuck with me since then, because it is so true. There's so many opportunities in Lesotho. And the only sad part is that people like to copy than to follow their own passion. Just because somebody is selling popcorns at the corner, we're all going to buy. They used to call it Xerox duplication and entrepreneurship. We're all going to buy popcorn machines put there, and even if that person was making money, we are not going to make money if all us are going in there. So I think my advice is really about following your passion. In that, what is it that you, because if some people, they get into business for the wrong reasons, when you get into business because you are seeing somebody making money, then you're just going to be looking for the money. You're not going to be willing to go through what it takes for you to get that money in what you're doing. So I would say, of course, change is very scary. It wasn't an easy one for me. I've been employed for almost 25 years now. Overnight, I'm leaving completely that. I had jobs where I had both good salaries, bonuses, that I was doing everything I could. But now having to decide to stop all of that and go into a project, it's something that wasn't easy, but for me, it had to happen. So for me, my advice is always to say, what is it that I'm passionate about? Like I'm saying, the Ikigai concept, it really worked for me. It can work for every person. If you believe in praying, is it something that you can say, Lord, help me to find something that I'm good at, that I'm passionate about, that people need out there, that people can pay me for? When you have done that, it will make sure that even if you have a saloon, your salon is going to be the best, because you will not just be doing the salon just for the money in the salon. It would be, how do I welcome this person who comes in here? How do I treat this person such that even if there's a lot of places he could go and cut his hair, but the fact that the service they get out of my salon is what will make them to keep coming to you to get that kind of business. So that's one thing that I can really, say, please follow your passion, but also have some mentors, have some people that you look up to. Have people that I know there are still some successful people out there that can be willing to, when you approach them and you want to ask them, a question or two in terms of what is it that I need to look for before you go. Because I think people always look for glamour before building businesses, That's why even we have a lot of entrepreneurs here. They get one or two deals. Now they've bought a huge car, they've bought what. And that's not how you grow business. You need to understand. I always say growing a business, it's like plowing. You're not expecting you'll be harvesting in a month's time. It has to take the whole cycle. It will only be next year that I will harvest. So take your time. Stop rushing to look like the rich guys. You're not yet there. You need to grow, you need to build. So those are the things that I can really say. There are a lot of opportunities in Lesotho, but what is important is do what you love, do something you're passionate about. When you face challenges, they always say in business there are times when excitement just dies. It's time you face reality. Really, this business, you are pushing it without being excited about it, but it's because for you it's a way of life. It has to happen. So that's some of the things that I can really advise for anyone who wants to go into business. I always advise my clients to start sideline hustles before they retire, because you don't use the retirement money to start a business that you have no clue how the business operates, because that is the usual mistake that you can do. But if you start while you're still at work, you still have a fallback position for somebody who is not as brave as I was to say I'm throwing my head deep into the pool. So start while you're still at work, so that you can know the challenges that the project can give you and the good side of it. Then when you say, now I'm comfortable, I have good idea on what is this monster, how it behaves, and how best I can grow it, then you can go all into it. I think that's one thing that I know. And also what is important is start small, because now we know raising funding in Lesotho it's a bit of a challenge. So just because you can't start competing with the likes of Pick and Pay from the word go, start small, start where you can still use the resources that we have. We've got so many people that started with 2 boxes of apples. Now it's a whole farm fruit, veggies and everything. Start small and understand that business has to grow like a kid. It doesn't just grow up just like that. It has to go through all these phases. You will have rough patches, you will have successes. If you can see the team now, when we talk about those challenges that we met, you won't believe it. They're laughing because they just said, we just kept going. We didn't know what we were hoping for, but we just knew it has to work. So those are things that I say, go and talk to people that are trial and tested in some of these things, that have really been into businesses. We've seen people that have been in business that are very successful here. I always look up to a lot of Melbourne that they might not know, but for me, I've always looked at people that have achieved things that I haven't. And also, I think we always want to use our past to determine our future, which is the biggest mistake. I might have lost my parents at a young age, but that doesn't mean I'm not entitled to be successful in life. No, I am. I have to be, and I can only be as much as I want to be. So I think one thing I realized, which has always been frustrating me even throughout my career, was that even when I was interviewing bana ba bangata ba Basotho, we confuse humility with looking desperate. Yes, because now if you are like that, even in an interview room, you're failing to show us what you are capable of, because now, you know, we are raised to be a humble kid, yeah, very soft, melintate, yeah. But out there, you have to, you have to stand up and go out and show us what you are capable of. So it's one thing that every time I cross this country, I try to explain how good people, it is in the past. It doesn't have to determine what your future has to be. Your future can start today. It can be this program that you are running, the project can be the best project that anyone could have, and nobody would believe that you started this project from scratch. And it hasn't been an easy project, but if it's something that you believe in and you know I'm going in fully, and like I said, don't just go in for the money in it. Go in because it's something that you love, then money will follow. But if you put money before everything, that's why people would even do things that are illegal or even unethical, because they just want money at whatever cost. And that's why I think maybe I differ with a lot of people, because for me it's all about, let me do the right thing. And when people are happy with my service, then obviously money will come.
We have the audience, one of our audience are people in the policymakers and people in government positions. What can you say to them? Any advice to them? What can they do at policy level and the positions that want now to solve the problems of this country, our unemployment, let's say, mohlala e ka ba le makala a fapaneng hore na ba ka etsa jwang to make the environment ya entrepreneurship landscape ya Lesotho be conducive.
Yeah, I think on that one, my humble plea is that the policymakers have to really make laws that are encouraging local businesses to grow, because Basotho, they don't believe in Basotho, they believe in Batho ba Marerobolepu, and it's very sad that we have so many kids that are talented in this country, but because of the complexion of their skin or the so-called political background of the surname, it's so sad, because if you come from a surname that was known to be part of a certain political group, it's said that's one of the criteria what certain people are not given opportunities in Lesotho. And at the end of the day, Basotho, and you have to bet on Mosotho more than anything. Yes, even us as Basotho, we need to do what we say we are doing, because we can't expect lawmakers to just give us freebies. I'm not asking for freebies, but there are certain industries that one still thinks they have to be exclusively for Basotho. If you travel the world, you would see how certain countries are so very, very protective of their talent, to say certain industries, certain sectors are only for locals, not foreigners. Foreigners, even when they come, there has to be certain specific terms that they have to meet, which are making Lesotho better off, not necessarily the foreign investors. So that's for me my humble plea, that we really have to start doing that. And I'm saying this because I'm one of the people that suffered it because of not having any political affiliation. And I remember in a few offices I was told if only there was a white person in our company, then maybe we would be given business to do that. And I found it very sad, honestly. I found it very sad. If Mosotho can say this for Mosotho Yemo. But like I'm saying, for me, I never take those as what stops me from doing my work. I actually find something that makes me want to go out now, to say, I don't care if you close your door, there will be one or two Mosotho that would give me an opportunity to serve them, and I'm going to do my best in doing that. So I think for me, honestly, it's about time that Lesotho be for Basotho more than anything. Yes, it's good to have foreign investment in the country. It's good to have foreign expertise, but like I'm saying, look, for instance, I know when I was still in the banks, in other subsidiaries in other countries, you wouldn't get a foreigner getting a work permit with just a degree. No, they must have a degree qualification, a master's or PhD, because how many Basotho do we have that have first degree or even masters but are still not absorbed in the country, and people are still getting work permits with the matric qualification or even a diploma. So it's sad, but I still have hope. I still have hope that someday we will still have a change of leadership, or leadership that can say, yes, let's invest in Basotho, let's guide Basotho, let's have systems that help them to stay on track, because I know we still need some growing as well as a nation and as people that get into the business. But also we have got Ntate body business that have been very successful in this country, that have done very well. Can we please give those people honor without attaching her? They must have done something sinister. They must have done what? Can we just start appreciating and acknowledging that we've got people that have done this thing, that are very successful? How do we use them to go and encourage, like you're saying, those kids in Maseru, those kids in TY, in Mokotlong, or hey, Mokotlong is just where you were born, but it doesn't mean Bokamsoba it's Mokotlong. Bokamsoba can be anywhere. And now we're having a high number of people that are kids that are graduating from all these tertiary institutions. Some countries, they export talent. Why can't maybe Lesotho start, have policies that export talent to Basotho and have Basotho all over the world? I mean, I still think it would be a nice thing, because when you travel the world and you meet Basotho overseas, such a nice thing when you meet one of your own. So I think for me, honestly, it will be that humble request that can the policymakers stop putting titles and thinking about them when they're in office. Can we think about Lesotho? Can we think about generations that are coming and say, which sectors can we say? I mean, it doesn't make sense to have shop as Paza in Manijakele, China, or supermarket there. It doesn't make sense to me, because those are the people that should be bringing big malls, big businesses. Those small ones, Moslomo needs to be for Basotho. But yeah, Kibuekele is just an ordinary Mosotho who simply say, I think if policies and regulations can be more enabling for locals than more demanding, because at times even when you are trying out there, you might find you're going to have to compete as absolutely with a huge foreign company, and when you get there, the requirements, you are expected to have PI cover for 20 million. And they know the only person who can have that 20 million is that foreign company. It's no longer local company can do that. But when you ask, is there any specific expertise that you are looking from a foreign company? Nothing different from what a Mosotho can offer. So it's the sad part, honestly, that I always see. At the end of the day, we are more about labeling people, and we forget about Basotho, Khabana Bamoto at the end of the day.
What can you say to parents? Any sort of advice to them, and any advice, support system maybe I use it some bana or officially the
Yeah, maybe my plea to our parents is that they need to let kids live their own lives, because our parents, they want to correct their mistakes with the kids' futures. Because my mom wanted to be a doctor and she couldn't be a doctor. Now she wants me to go and be a doctor. I think that's one thing that we would say parents need to understand, how the young generation is different from us, that grew up when there were a lot of, maybe a few things that we all knew then, was either you're a doctor, a nurse, or a police officer. There wasn't really much that you need to do. But also, even for them to be flexible enough that these days kids can choose careers that we never thought were careers. Kids these days can be professional DJs, can be professional photographer. It's a career. Can we support our kids realizing their dreams, irrespective of how foreign it sounds to you, how you don't understand what this means? You never know what that kid can do if they can get the blessing of your parents. And also for them to really know they are not just our parents, they are our guardian angels. They are always praying for us, they are always there for us, and maybe help these kids take those bold moves, because there's education system and our parents, they always prepare us to go and get hired after school, and there's unemployment. Now when there's unemployment, it's a problem. Now what are we doing? But if they can understand, or there are times where they're going to have to help you, or help and grow your own studio when you go, because he seems to be very, passionate about this electronics things and how they operate and stuff like that. It's a different world now. That's one thing that I need to do. Maybe the last one that I can give as a parting advice for them is they need to plan their wealth such that they can benefit their children properly, because some parents are letting children to have entitlement mentalities, and as a result they bring, we call them spoiled brats, kids that feel like somebody owes them in life, who don't want to work for themselves. And like I said, the new law, the inheritance law, is giving parents a lot of responsibility for them to really make the right decisions and how they plan their estates to ensure that their children are well taken care of. It's sad when you see how many kids in this country are starving and their parents' monies are lying in banks and insurances. They are called unclaimed benefits, mainly because their parents never did the right things when they are still alive. So it's high time that they understand, if they don't do the right things as parents, their kids are likely to suffer for the longest period on that one. But other than that, honestly, they need to understand and therefore it says, I know it's a truth and root awakening for them, or they have to try and be flexible and understand we can have children now that have careers that I never thought these things could be a career, but as long as my child is doing what they want to do, support them. I think support is more than anything. I mean, for any kid, you always want to get a word of encouragement and a blessing from your parent, and if you don't get that, it really messes them up a lot.
Any comments on work-life balance? Do you believe in work-life balance?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. It's very tough. Look, we have to realize at some point what is more important in our lives. It's good to work, it's good to have a company, but you still need to have time for your family. You still need to have time for your health. I know I'm one person that used to be in the office from 5:30 in the morning and come out 8:30 in the evening, and it's just not healthy. It's not. Yes, I know there are times when you really have to push for those deadlines, but I'm one person that really has learned the hard way never to take work home now. I try to that so that when I'm home, I don't open a laptop under normal circumstances, because that's time for my family. We need to take leave. You need to go rest, go on holidays. Have you seen how sad it is for people who always prioritize their work and their family suffers, and when they die, the next week your position is filled and life continues, but your family is suffering because you never have time for them. That's why most people, even when they have to retire, you would find that they don't want to go on retirement, because now retirement makes them to go and face the reality that they have always been running away from, because now every time they made sure never to be at home, now they have to be home the whole day. No more workshop, no more going on patrol, no more going anywhere. So we always have to try and say, if you are a spiritual person, you still need to go and recharge. You still need your time with your Creator. You still need time for your family more than anything. So I think for being a person that grew up without a parents in my family, I always treasure time with my kids and family, because that's what I missed. I missed that belonging. I missed listening to their crappy stories. I know now, because of technology, everyone will be on their cell phones doing all these sorts of things, but we always try and have that moment where we say, guys, I know my wife is always fighting us, can you put your phones aside, it's our time now, can we? So I think it's one thing that I would really encourage people to say, yes, we have got careers, we are professionals, but more than anything, we are partners, we are parents to our families. Can we have time for our families? Can we have time for going on holiday? Don't rest. Some people, they don't take leave. They are always at work every day. I mean, year in, year in. It doesn't work like that. You will burn out. We see people get, strokes and all those sort of things. It's because the body can only do so much. We need to have time to go on gym so that you can try. So I know it's easier said than done, but it really has to happen. We really have to force it. I'm telling you, it was a very painful thing for me to have to put my laptop and leave it at work at times, or even when I've carried it, I don't open it in the house because I'm just trying to rest so that when I go to work, I'm fresh and can be able to do so. I think that would be my parting advice on that one, to say. Also get what helps you to feel rejuvenated. If you are somebody who likes listening to podcasts, who likes to listening to audiobooks, since I liked reading, for me what used to work better was buy audiobooks, because I was always on the road, so at least I can listen to a book as I'm traveling. I don't read it, so that's what used to work for me. But everybody knows what works better for them. But what is important is when I grew up, the first thing I was told when I started working, and it has always stuck with me, because I felt, it's not. I always have to be here, and when it's time to go home, I need to go home and be present, not just be there physically, but be present at home.
Well, thank you so much for being on the Reconnect podcast and TV show. Is there anything else you'd like to share before we come back?
No, Ntate, thanks. Just to show my appreciation for the invitation that the Reconnect has done, and also the relationship that we're gonna go forward. Hopefully, it's not the first and the last time. We'll still engage, maybe now sharing more in terms of our expertise. But I think for me, having seen what you guys are doing, you're doing a very good job, and I hope you can be courageous to keep doing it. Rome wasn't built in a day, but look where it is today. I still believe you're going to do things that people never thought you could, and the fact that you also started something that it's not that common, not many people are doing it. I know others might not see value in it now, but ultimately they will definitely see what this has been. So I really hope maybe my time here and the information that we have shared maybe would help one or two people out there. If it could, then I would want to believe it would have been worth our time having this conversation. But I really appreciate the invitation, and thanks a lot. Until we meet next time.
Thank you so much. We hope to invite you again in the future.
Thank you.